Carolina's Field, Forest, and Water. A closer look at agriculture in South Carolina and conversations between the current and future leaders of the Palmetto State's largest industry. Carolina's Field, Forest, and Water is a production of the student media team at the South Carolina Governor's School for Agriculture at John De La Howe.
Welcome to Carolina's Field, Forest, and Water. We're here today with a special guest, Evan Streeter from rural Chester County, who is a young hog producer there and actually earned the Hog Producer of the Year for the South Carolina Young Farmers Association in 2022. We also have Lindsay Davis. She is our swine coordinator here at the South Carolina Governor's School for Agriculture, and we're here to have a conversation with Mr. Evan Streeter. Welcome to McCormick County, Evan.
Oh, well, thank you guys for having me down here. I've loved the tour. The operation that's run down here is truly top-notch.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's start off with a little bit of an introduction. How did you get involved with agriculture?
Sure. So, obviously, I don't come from an agricultural background at all. So, my dad was an electrical engineer, right? Just literally no agricultural background. The way it started was I loved hunting and fishing. And we lived in a townhouse, and we lived next to a cattle farm. And I used to sneak over there at nighttime to go bass fishing. Well, my dad said, you need to figure out who owns that and, go get permission to go fishing on the pond. I said, okay. So we went over there, knocked on his door. He said I could go fishing. Well, he ran a cow-calf operation. And I used to walk through the barn to go fishing, and I kind of would help him. Maybe he'd take me in the truck in the Saturday morning to go feed the cows, and I'd help him, throw hay up in the hayloft or something like that. And that I was 12 years old or so at the time, and that's kind of what sparked that passion. And we moved out of the townhouse into a double-wide trailer on it's about an acre or so of land. And I got a few laying hens and started producing eggs. And that's kind of when it really sparked my interest of, maybe I should become a farmer. I really like this idea of becoming a farmer. And I always carried it with me, every day, kind of just wanted to become a farmer. And, I met a guy. I was training bird dogs out in Rock Hill. And I heard these geese flying off in the distance. And I said, man, I got to figure out where them geese are going. And I figured it out and went and knocked on the guy's door. Hey, can I go hunt them geese down there landing in your pond? He said, sure. Well, that developed into another relationship, helped him on his farm throughout the summertime kind of deal. And it must have been my junior or senior year of high school. He asked me, he said, well, what are you going to do when you get done with high school? Is your dad going to make you pay rent? I don't know. And long story short, he said, well, I'll tell you what, you can move in above the garage. I'm not going to charge you any rent. You just got to, give cows hay in the wintertime, help them out, miscellaneous projects here and there. And I agreed to it. Well, he had a few red wattle pigs out there, and I always found them interesting. And I could tell he was kind of getting tired of them, right? Going out there, feeding them every day, keeping them in the fence, that kind of stuff. And I told him, I said, Otis, how about this? I said, I'll take over the pigs. I'll take care of, paying for the feed and everything, feeding them, everything associated with the pigs. And in return, I'll give you 2 baby piglets, right? And he agreed to that. He said, okay. And that's kind of how the operation started. And that was in 2019, 2020 timeframe. And now next year we'll have on our own property. Now we're not on his property anymore. On our own property, we'll have over 50 sows in production. We'll farrow about 1,000 piglets next spring, and we'll sell several hundred pigs to our direct-to-consumer meat customers.
Awesome story.
So tell us more about your Facebook following, your social media, and how that's influenced what you're doing now and like your vision for the future, kind of your goals.
Sure. So we're big on social media. I'm 24, so how could I not be big on social media, right? That's really the main source of marketing that we have for our farm, that and word of mouth. Every time I meet a customer, I say, if you could please leave us a review and share our Facebook page, it'd mean the world to us, because that's truly the only way we grow our business. And we've been doing it for years now, and our following on social media has just grown and grown. I built a website for us. I built a website myself. I'm very proud of that, by the way. I didn't hire anybody to build it. I built the website myself, so go on there and check that out. But I would say, it's definitely impacted the farm for sure on the social media. I mean, it's literally the way that our business has grown. We haven't grown it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
So you do the marketing, you do the social media, it's your vision. Tell us what all you have, like what your hand is in every day.
So in the morning, I wake up, I tell people I wake up in the morning, first thing I do, I grab my cup of coffee. I get my 2 pups. I got 2 golden retrievers, both of them bird dogs. One of them's just a puppy, but Moki and Nico are their names. We go out and we check all the pigs, check all the sows and everything. I tell people a little slice of heaven, a little visual that I'd like to share with you is you wake up in the morning, you go out and check it. It's a nice fall day. Beautiful, it's 60 degrees, right? Crisp, cool air. Leaves are changing colors. Leaves are falling out in the woods. We raise all our pigs in the woods. Leaves are changing colors, falling. And you kind of look out through the open hardwoods there. Sun's just peeking through the trees, and you see a little bit of kind of steam coming off of Mama Sow. And you walk up on that Mama Sow. She's got a beautiful nest there made with 15 baby piglets nursing on her, and she's grunting contently. I'm sitting there drinking my cup of coffee, of course, and there's just a sight like that you just can't see in any other industry. Usually do that first thing. That's a good way to start the morning. Mm-hmm. I do that, and then I come right back inside. I usually have a significant amount of computer work, emails, phone calls, text messages. Facebook Messenger is a big thing now. Mm-hmm. Got to get back to all those customers. Look at our order list. What orders do we have coming up, that I need to fulfill? What pigs do I need to get loaded on the trailers or separated into certain pens for logistic type issues? And then I'm usually back outside by 12, 1 o'clock. And then whatever's in store for the day there on the farm, operationally, of course, feeding, water, and all that kind of stuff. Getting pigs moved if that's something that needs to be done, weaning, castrating, all that sort of thing.
So have you ever thought of branching out from the red wattle and looking into other different breeds, or is that what you're strong?
So that's a great question. And I don't know what year it was or specific date, but when I first kind of got started, I got started with the red wattles, right? And we built that up to, I say, 10, 15 sows, somewhere in that range when I first got started. Well, Berkshires are kind of the Angus beef of the pork world. They're marketed very well, and there's an American Berkshire Association and everything, so a lot of people know about them. Well, a lot of studies and tests are done around Berkshires and how great their meat quality is. That's the case because the studies are only done on those basically because of the associations and whatnot. But I spent several $1,000s. I imported some of the top quality meat genetics of Berkshires right here into South Carolina on our farm. Well, I bred registered Berkshires, top-notch meat quality, right? Very expensive, all registered full bloods. And how I started originally was I was selling feeder pigs to farms all over the place. And they were taking those, raising them out, butchering them, and selling the meat from them. And of course, they consume the meat themselves. Well, they did that with these Berkshires, and they came back to me and said, "Evan, this Berkshire is nowhere near as good as the red wattles." I said, "Are you kidding me? I done spent all this money on getting these, months of feeding them out and everything. It's not like I spent $1,000 and boom, the next day it's all good. Mm-hmm. No, it takes months, right? You got to feed them out, get them big, then you got to breed them, wait for them to farrow, and it's a whole process." Well, it wasn't as good as the red wattles. And, pro tip, don't argue with your customers whenever they say something, right?
Great advice.
So I was kind of left with, what am I going to do? So I ultimately sold all the Berkshires, got rid of them. And primarily all we do now is red wattles. So I've dealt with Yorkshires, Berkshires. I got some Michon pigs now, so that's kind of exciting. I'm really looking forward to those. They're pretty rare, but meat quality should be exceptional on those. But primarily what we do is red wattles now.
Okay.
For our listeners, explain your operation. Is it confined? Is it pastured? Is it silviculture?
Right. Yeah. Excellent question. Right. Everything we do is outside. in the woods. Obviously, we do have some stuff on silvo pasture, which is pasture in the woods, basically. We do no confinement at all. Like, none of our stuff is under a roof unless you consider a tarp a roof. So when we farrow, we put a little tarp up because our woods are, for one, we don't have a big tractor to move farrow and shelters. And then number two, even if you do have a big tractor, the woods that we have pigs in and farrow in are so thick that you couldn't get a tractor through them.
Right.
Piglets do like to stay warm and dry. So you have to put something out there for them to, stop them from dying. So we put tarps up, and then we'll put, a nice bale of hay down, nice bale of straw for the mamas to make nests in and farrow. So our piglets are born outside. And then from there, they just go to a weaner pen that's also outside. And then from there, they go out into woods where they're rotated, every week or so throughout the woods or silver pasture, whatever they're in at that point in time, until they're grown out to 250 to 300 pounds is where we like to get them to, at which point they're butchered. So no confinement. Everything we do is out in the woods. They make their nest with sapling trees. I mean, you'll come out some days, a sow will be getting ready to have piglets. I walked out the other morning. It looked like somebody was getting ready for a bonfire. I mean, she had tore down every sapling tree within, a 10-yard radius. The little cedar saplings this big and, little sweet gum saplings, she just snapped them all off about 3 feet off the ground. She had a big old brush pile. That's what she had her piglets in.
So you had a free land clearer.
That's what we use them for.
Absolutely. So how do you manage the pasture with your nutrition? What's your feeding like? Is it separate? Do you supplement so you can handle them interactions more, or do they mostly like graze and you use nuts and grubs and?
Of course, they forage like crazy. Say they eat a lot of nuts and grubs, and they'll eat the saplings, they'll eat roots, they'll eat vegetation, a lot of different things. What we do as far as feed is concerned is our sows are fed a daily ration. We ration their feed. There's a sow each at a house and home. I've heard of some different farms, they'll mix hay in their feed and just leave it out to them. The gestating sows, they'll just keep them out. Obviously, we don't do that. We do ration their feed. So we typically feed when they're gestating 7-8 pounds a day, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. We do it by 5-gallon buckets. So nothing's like, precise. The feeder pigs that we're growing out to butcher, they're fed 24/7. They just got free feed. They eat as much as they want. So that's it. And we manage the gilts the same way we do the sows. The boars are managed the same way as the sows, and then the feeder pigs, like I said, they're free range.
So you have a history in business management, or you were talking about education and not having an education and background with the animals, but tell us something about the education you did have and how you applied it, and then how you learned with the animals. We talked earlier about hands-on, students getting hands-on education versus what they're learning in school. So tell us more about that side of your background.
Sure. The background there, I started when I was in my late teens, so I didn't have any education really other than, school education, and then kind of the stuff you learn throughout your life up to that point. I did have a great mentor, that taught me a lot of stuff about business, and money sense type of things that I was able to apply when I started the hog farming, and saving money and living below your means, that kind of thing, which are just more, I guess, habits than education. Everybody knows they need to do it. It's just a matter of whether you exercise that muscle or not. So that helped tremendously. But as far as the education, what we were talking about earlier is, I heard a guy describe it like this: if you go in and want to teach somebody about screwdrivers and wrenches and engines, I think the best way to do that is to say, here's an engine, let's take it apart. What do we need? And they're going to see, okay, looks like we need a wrench, when we need a screwdriver, and to go take this nut out and this bolt off, right? And, this is what the screwdriver's for, and this is what the wrench is for. I see now, right? To where I think in today's tradition, not here, this is a phenomenal institution here, what you guys are doing, but I think traditionally the way it would be taught is, here's a class on screwdrivers, here's a class on wrenches, here's a class on hammers, and then here's a class on engines. To where you can learn the stuff what a wrench is by just looking at doing the, big important stuff. And that's the way I learned to farm was when I was living there and helping on different people's farms, you kind of learn how to rig things with baling twine that nobody would think of just because that stupid gate's not standing on the post. Well, get some baling twine. Like you develop this pathway in your mind, I guess, as to how to do things.
Absolutely. I agree. I love it. So what are you the most passionate about today as far as what you're doing?
Definitely so I have 2 other businesses as well. I have a commercial insurance agency that we sell business insurance to taxidermists across the country. And I also I have a retirement planning firm. We do investments and retirement planning for individuals. But by far where my passions primarily lie now today is with the farming. So now it's just a matter of making it to where we can live off of our farming income. And that's becoming tougher and tougher, but we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel as to how we can do that. And Jordan, who's, my future fiance, she likes horses. So we really got to bump up the income quite a bit.
You're going to have a 4th job.
Yeah. So I'm actually looking to add another business.
Absolutely. No, that's great. So, tell me about some of the obstacles that you have had in getting your farm to where it is now.
Definitely probably just the learning curve's huge, right? And then getting in front of customers, learning how to get customers, marketing and sales is definitely where a lot of farms struggled, and we struggled on that as well, which is normal. Figuring that part out, and then dealing with the people, so if you don't farm on the property that you own, right? If you don't own the property and you can just go do whatever you want, free range of stuff, being able to kind of work around their operations with kind of what you want to do and figuring out how you can work around that is, a problem to figure out. Mm-hmm. And that's the way a lot of beginning farmers are going to start, because you don't have enough money to go out and buy your own plot of land. So you need to either lease it or develop a relationship with the landowner that will let you farm their ground. And if you set forth prior to that in concrete terms of what you're going to do and that they're okay with that, I think that would be much easier than just kind of going at it and handshake deal. And, before you know it, somebody's going to get hurt. Their feelings are going to get hurt.
Well, shift gears just a tad. Obviously, we're at an educational institution, the only one like this in the country. And our biggest focus is youth leadership development. Tell me a little bit about your high school experience. Were you in FFA? Were you in 4-H? And if so, how did those organizations prepare you for a 24-year-old?
I was in FFA. I was in FFA. I was at Fort Mill High School. So our FFA program was not real super strong, if you will, not with like farmers. Mm-hmm. It was, I would say, more like people want to become veterinarians or something like that. But the high school that we had, that at Fort Mill, it's a great high school. I'm not sure it really, trained you to be a leader or something like that. Where I see here, and I just spoke to all your students, mm-hmm. It's incredible. An institution like this where you're actually going out and doing the hands-on stuff, and you have like, I was telling you, it's like you have all these little different enterprises and industries that these kids are doing. That's where you're going to learn the leadership and management skills required to succeed in life. Not, a textbook.
Yeah. We're all about hands-on learning.
And I don't think that in just a traditional, like I said, I don't think Fort Mill High School there, where I was in textbooks, that's the traditional learning method mm-hmm. there. I just don't, I guess I learned some stuff. Half of it I probably forgot by now, but,
People learn differently for sure. And we've got several good students, great students from Fort Mill High School that are attending here now. Who just the hands-on learning is just their forte, where maybe not as much back at home,
Yep.
So before we sign off of here, why don't you tell our viewers and listeners how they can purchase your product and your social media pages and kind of go through all that?
Absolutely. We shouldn't be too difficult to find, or at least I hope not.
Yep.
You can Google Streeter Heritage Farms, so street like what you drive on with ER on the end, Heritage Farms. we should come up. Our website should come up, Facebook page, everything like that. Of course, my name is Evan Streeter. You could probably Google that and find my information. My cell phone number is practically everywhere, but we're on Facebook pretty heavily. We do have a website. I'm personally on Instagram, most social media platforms. So probably just Google Streeter Heritage Farms and you'll be good to go.
Good deal.
Hopefully.
All right. Ms. Davis, you have any final questions for our guests?
So what advice do you have for high school Evan Streeter?
Oh, high school Evan Streeter.
Yes.
Yeah, just
That's only what, 6 years ago?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not too long ago. So I guess same advice now. I would say just keep following your passions and doing the actions rather than just having the dream and vision. So I think a lot of people, they have a dream and vision of where they want to go, but they're not willing to take like the first step or to make the first phone call to take a step in that direction. And especially high school students, for sure, I just think that people are going to, what's going through their mind may potentially be is, well, I'm still a junior, so maybe I'll do that my senior year. Or I'm a sophomore, I guess I'll do that, my junior year or something like that. Why start then? Why not start now? There's plenty of people that have built extremely successful businesses before they even go to college. It's incredible what young people have achieved, way more than what I have, right?
And this is coming from a 24-year-old. I love that.
It's amazing, what I've, you see it in social media and stuff. Like these kids have built like $1 million businesses and they're 18 years old. I guarantee you they didn't get there by, well, I guess I'll probably get there when I'm 30 or 40 or 50. No, they probably saw something that they really liked, that they're extremely passionate about, that they wanted to achieve, and just did it.
Take action. Keep moving. Yep.
That's what most people aren't doing.
Yep.
I love that.
Well, you have an amazing story. I hope our guests and our listeners and viewers respect your story, because it's an amazing to hear and see a 24-year-old entering in production agriculture in South Carolina. It's becoming increasingly difficult with real estate prices. And the last stat I read was South Carolina was the fastest growing state, I think, in the country.
Oh, yeah,
and
probably.
Real estate prices has driven ag land out the roof.
Rough.
So it's really refreshing to hear a livestock producer, especially of your age, making it happen here in South Carolina. So welcome to the South Carolina Governor School. We are excited to have you here today. And thank you for joining us on Carolina's Field, Forest, and Water. Hope you will return.
Well, thank you, guys. Yeah, I look forward to next year.
Thank you.
Look forward to next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carolina's Field, Forest, and Water, a closer look at agriculture in South Carolina, is a production of the student media team at the South Carolina Governor's School for Agriculture at John De La Howe. For more information on our school, visit our website at www.delahowe.sc.gov.